Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Katie and I'm the Organic Esthetician. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about how to treat and prevent forehead wrinkles. I previously did a similar video focusing on marionette lines and nasolabial folds, and it was very successful. If you haven't watched that video and those are areas of focus for you, I'll put a link to it in the show notes down below. So it's been my intention to do these targeted videos for various parts of the face, and it's just taken me a minute to get around to it, but here we are. So whether you're noticing deep line formation already on your forehead, or you're just wanting to help prevent formation in this very expressive part of the face, this video is going to be ideal for you. This video is going to cover tools both topical and internal to help address this area. And I'm going to show you that when you combine manual work with hydration, microcurrent, light therapy, you're able to support both the structural and cellular reason why those lines exist. So as always, I find a multifaceted approach is most effective to create real change in your skin, helping to soften and heal this area. So let's jump into the first topic. I think the first thing we should start with is hydration. Staying hydrated on a regular basis is a full-time job. If you have any line depth whatsoever, dehydration will intensify line depth. So whether it's crow's feet or forehead or any line on the face, if you're starting to notice it become a little more pronounced, the first thing I recommend is making sure that you're drinking adequate amounts of water and that you're using hydration topically as part of your skincare routine. When it comes to internal hydration, you want to make sure that you're drinking purified water. You want to make sure that you're not drinking out of plastic bottles or plastic containers because purified water absorbs anything it comes into contact with. So we want to prevent the introduction of all of those microplastics into your system. And then we want to make sure that it's mineral rich. So my favorite way of ensuring that is by using a supplement. My favorite is from Beam Minerals. And you want to include electrolytes and essential minerals in your water to help enhance cellular hydration. Supplementing with minerals and electrolytes helps increase the absorption of the water that you're drinking, and it supports the health of the cell to ensure that your cells stay hydrated as well. Cells are made up of something like 90% of water. So if we are not hydrated properly, our cells are not functioning properly. Topically, you want to make sure that you're using serums or products that have humectants in it. Things like beta-glucan or hyaluronic acid that pull hydration from your environment into your skin. And then I love locking in those humectants with ceramide and essential fatty acid rich moisturizers. Bonus points for adding lipids in with a couple drops of a facial oil after your serum, before your moisturizer. All right, now that the skin is hydrated, let's get things moving. So lymphatic drainage is the next step in treating any sort of line formation, but especially on the forehead. Now, I think that a lot of times when you think of fluid retention or lymphatic buildup, we often think of it underneath the jaw or underneath the eyes, right? These are often areas of stagnation, especially if the neck isn't properly opened so that that fluid doesn't have a place to drain, right? It gets backed up. But I'm always surprised by the amount of fluid I drain from between the lines of my clients' forehead. So when there's fluid trapped between those adhesions in the fascia, the line depth increases pretty dramatically. So even though this is a fairly flat muscle, your frontalis, deep expression lines create these compartments for fluid to accumulate. And when this happens, it disrupts healthy lymphatic flow. An accumulation of fluid between those grooves on the forehead can actually impair healthy barrier function. Stagnant fluid is more likely to accumulate in those grooves on the forehead when the skin barrier is compromised and when the fascia is dehydrated and tight. So this is where that hydration portion comes in. We want our fascia to be healthy, juicy, flexible. When it is, lines don't form. So again, going back to hydration, it's a key component to addressing the root cause of wrinkle formation. So when all of this happens, you get fluid retention, the barrier's compromised, the fascia is not hydrated, you're getting stagnation between these lines, inflammation and puffiness follows. Nobody wants any of that. So we're gonna move it out. So at home, you can do these very gentle strokes across the forehead. So let's talk a little bit about how to properly activate lymphatic drainage from the neck up. So on the body, I love dry brushing. I love doing movements in the shower, especially opening the armpit when you're washing yourself in the shower. Super easy. If we're looking to drain the face, we need to make sure that the lymph nodes are open so that the lymphatic pathways can flow more easily. The lymphatic pathways are the conduits for the lymph, but the lymph nodes are filtration centers. It's where the lymph is processed and immune responses are initiated. So we're gonna start axillary, always. You're pumping your armpit to open that main lymph node. When we're addressing any sort of lymphatic activation, it's a gentle movement. It's not deep pressure. It's not super fast. Think about like waves of the ocean, right? Your heart pumps the blood through your body, but your lymph relies on movement, gravity, these other processes, these other external processes for it to move, which means that it tends to be inefficient. So we need to pump it manually. So we're gonna pump the axillary nodes to start. You can activate the thymus right here in the center of your chest. Then you're gonna go up supraclavicle. So that's just above the clavicle. You have little divots here. You can pump those, and you can do just kind of light tapping even above your clavicle. You're gonna notice I'm gonna start swallowing pretty regularly. That is because I am activating my lymphatic pathways. You know you're doing it right when you have this kind of overwhelming sense to swallow. So from there, we can activate the occipital, which is essentially right in the center of where your skull meets your neck. And you're just gonna do some light circles to activate the back. Okay, and then we're gonna do all the cervical lymph nodes. So that's just going up your neck to just underneath your ears. Now you can do these kind of tapping movements. You can cross your hands and come under and do kind of pumping, kind of back and down. We're always starting from the bottom and slowly working up, and then we'll go from the center out. So from here, we can do submandibular, underneath the jaw, submental, under the chin, preauricular and parotid, in front of the ear. And we can drain it all back down around the ear. I like to go like this, with one finger behind my ear and the rest in front. And I do really slow circles backward. And then I drain down the neck. Now that super highway connecting your head to the rest of your body is open. So from there, we can just do sweeps out. So I like to put my thumbs underneath my chin, my hands on either side of my nose, and then I gently glide out towards the outside. And then you can give it a little lymphatic wiggle, as they like to call it, sweeping out. You can do little circles out underneath the eye, underneath the brow, and now we've finally gotten to our main area of focus. On the forehead, you can do sweeping motions up like this, but I find using my pads of my fingertips very gently, I'm gonna drain out to the temples. And I'm gonna do that a few times, but then you're gonna just drain it down. You will feel fluid move. You can feel fluid move under here too. Think about like one of those like peanut butter packets, like the Justin's peanut butter that comes in the little packet. Imagine you're squeezing that out from a little opening, right? So you got your peanut butter and you're kind of working it. You're squeezing it this way, you're squeezing it that way, you're trying to get it all out, right? Think about that underneath your skin. You're moving it in different directions, you're getting it all to one area, and then you're kind of moving it a little farther and a little farther and a little farther as you're getting it back into the system. Lymphatic drainage nightly or in the morning, first thing in the morning, however it fits into your routine, but incorporating lymphatic drainage into your daily skincare routine will dramatically help reduce stagnation in the face and throughout the body. Your lymphatic pathways are a huge component to your overall health and well-being. And so keeping them functioning optimal is important, not just for age delay. We're using a positive verbiage these days. Some of you like to call it anti-aging. Y'all leave lots of fun comments about verbiage down below. I think we all understand what we're trying to do. At its root, we are trying to increase the health of our skin and our whole body so that we get the most beautiful outward reflection of that health on our face. And we want to feel good moving forward too, right? Okay, so we're hydrated and we're drained. So now we can go a little deeper and address the connective tissue, the fascia, and then even deeper into the muscle. So let's talk about this muscle. It's an interesting one. The frontalis runs north-south across the forehead, but it's one of two parts. There's the frontalis, which connects to the occipitalis, which is back here, the back of the head. Oftentimes why you might get like an ocular headache, you get tension here, but it's actually caused by tension in the back. So these two muscles are connected by a dense piece of fascia that covers the whole skull called the epicranial aponeurosis. It's a mouthful, but essentially the takeaway from this is that if we have lines here, it's quite likely that you have tension all over your skull and the base of your head. And so we want to release not just the forehead, but the whole scalp. So I have tools like the Anma that I absolutely love. I mean, even just brushing your hair in multiple directions across your scalp every night, great for hair health, great for scalp health. It helps release that tension. If you are someone who washes your hair regularly, I'm kind of a like once or twice a week gal, but if you're someone who washes it on a daily basis, use that moment in the shower to deeply massage the scalp. I like coming in at the hairline with fingertips, and you're just kind of doing these big, slow circles. You're gonna work your way back, right? I love working around the ears because this is an area that we hold a lot of tension. And then I like using my Anma or any sort of little fascia tool. I'm sure Ashley Black has like some smaller fascia tools. I wouldn't use like the deep muscle ones that have like the big claws, but the tinier ones that work more on the superficial connective tissue, I think that would be really wonderful for the scalp. So I take my Anma and I rake it back and forth over my scalp. And as you do that, you'll probably find like little zones that almost hurt when you work over them. That's an area of tension. You should not have sensitivity like that on your scalp. So you're gonna stay there and hang out very gently, activating it, releasing it. And maybe it's not something that resolves itself in a single session. Maybe you take a little time finding those spots every night. It's part of my nighttime routine. I love releasing my scalp. You don't have to take a lot of time to do it, but just a couple quick rakes just to make sure that you are tending to that area, right? There are places on our body that we never touch. When was the last time you touched your ears? Like really massaged your ears? I'm gonna do an entire video just on ears because there is an acupressure point for every single organ in the body in your ear alone. And half the time we don't touch it. We put piercings through it and then we kind of call it a day. And there's so much activation that can happen in the ears. So again, we're gonna go back to dehydration. So when the fascia on the scalp is dehydrated, it can create tension and pull the forehead, contracting it, but maybe like tugging it backwards. Similarly, a tight frontalis, so it runs north-south, so you get those east-west lines. It contracts this way, it creates tension and tightness across that connective tissue sheath. They are very much connected. If you at all want to address your forehead, you need to address the scalp. And if you're having any sort of tension, headache, or like head pain, make sure you're also releasing the frontalis and that occipital muscle in the back as well. Okay, for massage on the frontalis itself, I like to do sweeping movements, and I might do some sweeps and then go in same circles as we did on the scalp, working up. You can also do little stretches as you glide up. We're stretching it out. You can start together and glide away from each other. If you watch any of my microcurrent videos, we're doing a lot of the same movements that we use with the electrode probes as we do with our hands. So this is a free way to treat the muscles of the face without using modality. Just use your fingertips. If you have some activation in this procerus region, I really wasn't gonna focus on eyes in this video, but this is a big part of forehead focus, right? Procerus, or that glabellar region. So again, we can slide out this way, we can glide apart this way, you can hold here and glide away like that. Same thing on the other side. Now, when we're doing this, maybe we're using a little more pressure than we did when we were doing the lymphatic drainage. You don't need to make your forehead red. It might just get stimulated naturally. And what causes that is an increase in circulation and blood flow, which helps to keep the skin healthy and that underlying tissue healthy. In that blood flow is oxygen and nutrients. So stimulating the face, getting it a little pink, is actually really good for the health of the skin and the underlying tissues. So obviously we're going to incorporate some electrical modality because it is my favorite. If you follow the channel, you know I love frequency-based therapies, especially microcurrent. So microcurrent is my favorite modality to use on all skin types because not only can we address the connective tissue and the muscle, we're activating the health of the cell by increasing a thing called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. So your cells need energy to function, and unhealthy cells have low voltage. So we want to increase the voltage, increase the energy, and by doing so, we increase the health of the cell. So microcurrent is such a great way to do that. It brightens, it increases collagen, it increases skin hydration, it helps with breakouts, it just does a little bit of everything. So I have a couple devices that I like. I've made a lot of microcurrent tutorials on the channel, but the 7E wellness devices are really wonderful because you use them with probes. So when we have two probes and we're working on the skin, we're able to create a little tension and stretch. We're able to target specific muscles more easily than with a handheld. So they make a lot of different products. If you are interested in a probe-based at-home microcurrent device, I recommend checking out either the MyoLift Mini or the MyoLift TriWave. I think these are wonderful devices. So the MyoLift Mini gives you two programs, one to relax and stretch the muscle, great for areas like the frontalis. We're gonna dive into that in just a second. And then a second program to lift and re-educate the facial muscle, reminding it how to be in its healthy, natural state. The Tri-Wave has a third setting, something you would start out with, lymphatic drainage. So you can actually use microcurrent and this sawtooth waveform. It creates this pulsing activity in the current that helps stimulate the drainage of excess fluid in the face. So either of those devices would be fantastic. So for the forehead, the movements are the same. You are using one probe stationary and one probe actively. So you are going to keep one stationary and glide down to the stationary probe, draining. You do like 3 passes per section. Same thing as we did with our hands. Now we're just doing it with probes. Here, you can get in here. We're draining out, 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 and then we're gonna catch it all draining down like this. Same on the forehead, starting here, draining down to that stationary probe. So you would always start with lymphatic drainage, whether it's with hands or with probes. After that, we're going to relax the muscle. So we're gonna start our probes together and we're gonna slowly glide them apart. And you're gonna use a slight pressure to create a little bit of tension so you actually get stretch in the muscle. You're gonna move really slowly so that the current has time to saturate that tissue. And after you do 3 to 5 passes per section, you're gonna move over and repeat. And you're gonna do that as you work across the forehead. And then obviously we're gonna do it on the other side. You can go this way if you want, but really we wanna work on this. I have my own thoughts on how to use these probes. My video tutorials on the MyoLift devices offer a slightly different movement plan than 7E suggests. This is because I have found it to be the most successful in treatment. So one of the big things is that I do not use that educate setting on the eyebrow. Now, one of the movements 7E suggests is gliding on the educate setting, one probe on each end. You glide together and you lift. Let's get a little closer so you can see what's happening. As I lift, I am creating line formation. Do you see that? These lines here. To avoid that, I do not lift the brow. I relax it. So not educate, but erase. This is a sphincter muscle. So as it contracts, it tightens. So if your brow is feeling low or heavy, it's because the muscle is tight. And instead of tightening it more, we're gonna relax it. So I like to use that erase setting and I start at one side and I glide out towards the front, stretching it. And then I come over here and I glide the other direction. Again, because it's a sphincter, we can address it from every angle. Under the eye, you can do stuff like this, like that, every angle. By opening the eye that way, you create lift without having to lift the forehead or actually lift the brow, right? We're relaxing, and that relaxing activity opens and lifts the muscle because that's its primary state. So I don't like using educate across the forehead at all, and I really don't use it through the eye area. The only places I use educate are from the jawline to the cheek. Now, if probes feel like a lot, maybe too much coordination for you to do at home, or you're just wanting something in an easy, compact form, then I highly recommend the Ziip. I love a handheld microcurrent device, and the Ziip Halo is my favorite out of all handheld devices on the market. MyoLift, New Face, whatever else. That Medicube thing is not microcurrent, it's EMS. We can talk about that later. But the Ziip is my favorite. So if anyone wants to know which device I like best for handheld microcurrent at home, it's the Ziip, okay? You guys ask me this question a lot, and I say this a lot. We're gonna really drive it home. I like it because it's multifaceted. It has 12 different programs, from lymphatic drainage to acne treatment to skin brightening to lifting the face, right? And it partners microcurrent with nanocurrent. Nanocurrent gives you that cellular activation, that improvement of skin health at its foundational level. It's a wonderful device and it's very easy to use. Now, when I'm using the Ziip on my face, I don't pull up on the forehead. I just kind of hang out here and glide it back and forth. And I'll show you a little demo here so you can see what that looks like. But we're just gliding back and forth on the forehead. I like using the probes in that erase program specifically for the forehead. So if that is your main concern, I would probably look at the MyoLift devices. If it's a secondary concern and what you're really looking to do is improve the overall health of your skin and give yourself a little lift, then maybe I would go with the Ziip. If you have time and the budget, maybe you integrate both into your routine. I have a lot of clients and a lot of people that I do consults with all over the country that like incorporating both into their routine. So lots of options there. I have discount codes with both companies. So we have Ziip Halo with the Ziip Halo, and the organic Esthetician gives you a discount over at 70wellness.com. And I'll put links in the show notes down below. So another frequency-based modality that I love for addressing fine lines and wrinkles anywhere on the face. I find it great for the forehead, but it also, just like the microcurrent, it additionally has benefits to improve the overall health of the skin and activate that cellular energy, and that's red light therapy. I personally love red paired with infrared. Red is very collagen stimulating, while infrared is the deepest wavelength, making it wildly anti-inflammatory. The combination of the two are fantastic. So not only are we activating collagen to help firm up the skin, microcurrent really focuses on a cellular level and that muscle and connective tissue, while light therapy really works at addressing the cellular level and the skin function itself. We're increasing blood flow and circulation. Again, blood is rich with oxygen and nutrients, so we want that increased circulation on the face. And bonus points, it helps support the skin's barrier health. So I love the Omnilux masks. I love the Current Body face masks. I love a LightStim handheld. I personally prefer using those pain lights over the anti-aging just because it has a higher concentration of infrared light in it compared to the anti-aging lights from LightStim. There are a lot of great LED devices on the market. Find one that works for you. I'll put links to my favorites down below. Ultimately, I don't recommend getting masks with blue light in it. It uses up bulb space for something that you're not really gonna use. The only time I think blue light can be really beneficial is if you have bacterial or fungal acne. Otherwise, if you're using blue light all over your face to treat one little spot right here, we're neutralizing your healthy microbiome everywhere. And we want to keep that biome nice and healthy and flourishing. Blue light from a LED device is the same blue light that your phone and your TV screen emit. That circadian rhythm disrupting blue light that helps prevent you sleep well. And it can actually create a little retinal oxidative damage where red and infrared light do not. So I always recommend getting a 100% red and infrared, not one of these masks that does a bunch of different colors. Plus, the bulk of the scientific studies on the benefits of light therapy have been done on red and infrared light. So let's hang out there. So tension in the connective tissue can lead to wrinkle formation. There's a couple of different types of wrinkle formation. So one is muscular, right? There's like tension and adhesions. You're in this contracted, tense state. But then there's also ones you get from the outside in from the skin getting pushed into a specific position on a nightly basis. That kind of skin wrinkle formation is most often happening around the eyes or on the lower part of the face. Rarely is that what we're really focusing on in the forehead. So less of a thing for this video, but if you're wanting to prevent that tension, switch to a mulberry silk pillowcase. It's an easy way to help prevent wrinkle formation from the outside in. From the inside out, it's tension. We hold tension in our face, in our whole body on a daily basis, and half the time we don't realize we're doing it. There's also like facial posture. Like, are you making the same face all of the time, right? Like, are you constantly going like this to see? So taking a few moments of mindfulness throughout your day can be really effective at breaking the habit of tension holding, making you more aware of where you're holding tension, and it just feels good, right? So I find that a lot of people don't realize that they're tense, that they're holding these postural contractions for hours of the day. And so for those who maybe are a little less connected to their body and a little more activated, I find that accentuating the movement, creating a state of contraction. So whatever that is, like maybe it's like this on your forehead, maybe it's like this, maybe it's like this, but exaggerate what contraction looks like so that you can really feel what relaxation feels like. What does it feel like to not hold tension in the muscles of your forehead? What does it feel like to not hold tension in the muscles of your face? What does it feel like to not hold tension anywhere in your body? There are little exercises that you can do throughout the day. There are things like yoga nidra, which is like this very relaxing meditation that you can do before you go to sleep, where you essentially just do a body scan back and forth, where you're putting focus and attention on every little area of your body. And it's something that we don't do enough. Take a couple minutes every day, maybe every couple of hours, take a break and take a second to mindfully scan your face. Are you holding tension? Oftentimes I find clients hold tension either here, or they do all kinds of crazy stuff with their mouth. Like wild things. Maybe you're pursing your lips, maybe you're doing both at the same time. So just trying to be mindful to break up that habit and have optimal facial posture. So your neutral spine, chin slightly tucked, mouth is closed, teeth are open, tongue on the roof of your mouth, forehead relaxed. Good luck. Okay, so another fun thing that you can incorporate that I find to be wildly effective for addressing lines on the forehead or anywhere on the face is face taping. Now, there are a couple different styles of face taping. Maybe you've seen this on the internet. I find that it's very popular right now. Maybe you're totally new to it. So if you have seen it before, there are essentially two different camps of face taping. So one looks super intricate. There's all of these different pieces and they're lifting up and they're in very specific placement, and it's kind of a lot. It can feel a little overwhelming to understand exactly what it is that is going on here. So this style of face taping is more about increasing lymphatic flow and reducing tension on the skin. So it's this kind of lifting, opening action. The alternative is using tape specifically over fine lines and wrinkles. And what that does is release the tension on the skin. So it smooths out those fine lines and it helps to retrain the muscle pattern. I have been mouth taping since 2020. I have found it just to be wildly effective for improving the quality of my sleep, but also from switching me from a mouth breather to a nose breather, which has improved my immunity considerably. There's a really fantastic book that goes into all of the science behind nasal breathing called Breathe, that if you're looking for a kind of nerdy book to listen to, I highly recommend it. There's cool breathwork exercises at the end of it, but it really goes into the history and the science behind why breathing through your mouth is so unhealthy. So I have been mouth taping for years. I've since switched to this brand called Dream Tape. It's from this company called Dream Recovery, and I retail this on the website. Now, I like this because it's made out of organic bamboo silk. It's like an eco material. It's non-synthetic. A lot of face tape and mouth tape is just kinesiology tape. It's very basic. It also uses a hypoallergenic adhesive, which I find less irritating on my face. I was using another brand called Hostage Tape, and I was breaking out quite a bit from using it. And when I switched to Dream Tape, that went away. These are pre-cut rectangles that you use over your mouth, but you can cut them down to forehead size and use them on your forehead. You just want to make sure that the stretch, because there's always a stretch in kinesiology tape, that is running north to south, not east to west. So when you are face taping, you're gonna do it as your very last step of the night. Apply all of the skincare that you would normally use and then put your tape right over the top. It will still be sticky, and you don't have to worry about not having product in those areas. So for me, I have a few forehead lines, but my main one is this right here. And I know that I am dehydrated when I can see this wrinkle at rest. That's like my indicator. It pops out a lot more when I'm in LA because it's just drier and I'm busier when I'm there. So that's the guy that I'm always kind of focused on. So I'm going to lift it up, smoothing out the forehead. I'm going to anchor the top of my tape piece there. And then without stretching it, I'm going to smooth it down and then release. I also have some of these guys above my eyebrows. So same thing, I'm going to lift, I'm going to press and anchor and then smooth it down. So that goes for lines anywhere. You kind of lift, place, smooth down without stretching, and then release, and you're ready to go. Face taping is not a permanent solution to making wrinkles go away, but it is one of the easiest things you can add into your routine that creates a really big impact. So what I mean by this is if I stop face taping, I haven't done it for a week or two, I really can see that line more clearly. When I do it regularly, it completely goes away. So it's something that you have to do consistently, but it is quite impactful. I'll put a link to the Dream Tape in the show notes down below. All right, so lastly, using topical products to help negate wrinkle formation can be really effective. So we already talked about making sure that you're using some sort of hydrating serum. You want to make sure you're locking it in with a ceramide-rich moisturizer. If you are prone to breakouts, make sure there aren't silicones in your moisturizer because that will really congest the skin. And then you could use fun anti-aging ingredients to help support all the other things that you've been doing. In my facials, I love incorporating exosomes. Exosomes are like the toolbox of the cells. They go in and they find where cells are signaling, hey, I'm not optimal, or like, I need a little help. And they go in and they fill in the gaps, restoring optimal health. There are some retail exosome products out there. Symbiome makes this serum called the Answer that uses them, a different form than the Resilier ones that I use in my practice, but also wonderful. There are some other brands out there as well. I've heard mixed reviews on some of the other ones, but worth looking into. Also, plant stem cells can be really helpful at promoting anti-aging activity in the skin. And then peptides. I love peptides. There's a peptide for everything, even neurotransmitter inhibiting peptides. This serum, We3 from Lucerne Labs, is a really fantastic anti-wrinkle serum as it targets the length, width, and depth of fine lines and wrinkles with those neurotransmitter peptides. So it's going in and interfering with the muscle contraction signal. And with a serum like this, you're just gonna spot treat it. You don't have to use it everywhere on your face unless you have wrinkles all over your face. So this bottle lasts quite a long time because you're only putting it on areas that you need to target. So after all of that, I think that it's helpful to take a little moment to be kind to yourself and to be mindful that wrinkles aren't flaws, they're signals. They're telling you that parts of your skin aren't functioning optimally, that your connective tissue and your muscle need a little love and attention. And I think it gives us an opportunity to really tend to ourselves, to care for ourselves. And hopefully we do this in a way that is like loving and kind, like, look, I am spending extra attention on this area because my body is telling me that it needs a little extra attention here, as opposed to being like, why won't this go away? I'm so mad at it. And that creates more contraction and a deeper wrinkle. So just remember to be kind to yourself. And I hope that this video gave you some different tools and new ways of thinking about how to address fine lines in the face. Your body is multifaceted, and a line here is not just on the skin. It is deeply connected to the systems and structures underneath it. And so addressing it from multiple layers, as we talked about in this video, is the most well-rounded and holistic way to treat the issue. So if you found this helpful or insightful, or if it made you think about fine lines in a different way, let me know in those comments down below. While I might not respond to everyone, I do read them all. So thank you for the interaction. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you subscribe. All right, everyone, I will be back very soon with some more videos. I'm always open to getting ideas from all of you. So if there's a topic that you would like to see me address, leave it in those comments down below. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all really soon. Bye.